So I've been an acupuncturist. I'm an acupuncturist for about 28 years. And which is a nice perspective to really take this whole talk from, because in Chinese medicine we don't see any separation between the body and the mind. So a lot of times things that are happening to us physically can affect us emotionally, and things that are happening to us emotionally can cause us to have symptoms. So it's a really nice perspective for us to kind of look at things. It's not like, you know, you have a cardiac problem aside from an anxiety problem, or a gastrointestinal problem aside from a depression problem. So we're going to talk a little bit about those things. A lot of times I do a lecture on balancing female hormones. So I usually use this picture here just to kind of give myself some credentials and let everybody know that I am an expert on female hormones.
2 daughters and a wife?
Yes.
My dad said he never heard of one.
You know, should I say this?
I can say it, you could.
You know how to make a hormone? He knows. You don't pay him.
He did along with that.
Alright, so let me bring this to the beginning here. We can get a full screen. And present.
It's all PowerPoint?
Well, I don't know, I use the PowerPoint, but as you'll see, I kind of ramble a little bit sometimes, and I want this to be specific for you. So you have questions, just feel free to ask questions, okay? So one of the things that we know is going to cause anybody to have anxiety and depression is the stuff that happens in our life, stress, right? So stress is kind of like the biggest killer that there is. So a nice visual that I'd like you to have for a stressful situation is a huge tiger sitting here with no leash on it, okay? So if you can, and he's licking his lips, looking at you. And it's a nice visual to have, because the physiology that kicks into your body when you're under any kind of stress is going to be the same physiology that kicks into your body, whether it's mental, emotional things that are happening, whether it's physical stress, you're in pain, or it's chemical stress. You're exposed to industrial chemicals, environmental pollutants, and agricultural chemicals, a lousy diet, drugs, allergies, sick buildings. All of those things are going to cause you to have certain physiological reactions to happen in your body. When you're in pain, there's this vicious cycle that goes on. You have anxiety, which causes muscle contraction, and the muscle contraction causes pain, and the pain causes anxiety, and the anxiety causes muscle contraction. You get this vicious cycle that just keeps on going around and around and around. So one of the things that we're going to look at today is one of the ways that I use to kind of break that cycle and take the charge off of the emotional symptoms that we have by kind of getting right to the root and the crux of why you might be having those emotional responses to situations that happen. And then there's always the mental emotional stress that affects us, and you turn the TV on and you kind of get stressed, right? Or your kids are messing up, or you're working at a job where the boss is a jerk and you can't punch him out and you can't run away. So those types of things, they cause all of these reactions to happen in our body, again, as if the tiger was sitting there. And I keep on bringing that there because it's the same physiology that kicks into your body. And that physiology was only meant to be there for a short period of time, right? While you were there to deal with the tiger. The types of substances that kick into our body are the types of things that allow grandma to lift up the bus because her little kid is trapped underneath the bus, right? And you've heard stories like that, right? Okay. This is the kind of power that those hormones have. And you can imagine that those things aren't meant to be there for a long period of time. They're meant to be there for a short period of time until we deal with the tiger. The tiger eats you or you eat the tiger. One or the other is going to happen. You run away or you're going to do battle with the tiger. So, you know, when you And it can be something like you eat something you're allergic to. Well, you eat something you're allergic to and your body goes into this fight or flight mode. It's the same chemicals as if the tiger is there. Your body is going, oh my God, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Okay? Those are the kind of chemicals that we have in our body. So you can imagine if you're, that stress, again, it's not this big animal that's out there waiting to get us. Stress is kind of like the way that we perceive the things that are happening to us, and we can kind of make a response depending on, where we come from, what we've been exposed to in our life, and we have preconditioned responses that we'll have. So if somebody gets, the same exact thing happens to 5 people, okay, and it's a very stressful situation, and one person does what? They run away from it, another person ignores it, another person transforms it into an opportunity for spiritual growth, and another person is going to become an axe murderer, okay? So you're going to have different responses to the same exact thing that happens, right? So it's not the thing that happens to us, it's our response to that particular thing that determines our well-being, and whether those tiger chemicals keep on getting pumped through our body over and over and over, and could then cause us to have tissues break down and having symptoms that affect our well-being. So one of the things that we're going to touch is ways to get rid of, the proper term is extinguish. We're going to talk about being able to extinguish the emotional responses that we have to the triggers that we always have responded to. And extinction is everybody familiar with the experiment from Pavlov? Okay, some of you are and some of you aren't. So I'm going to tell you about the dog experiment, okay? It's a kind of interesting scenario because this is what we're working on. So here's Pavlov, and he takes these dogs and he brings a steak out and he shows the steak to the dogs, and you know what the dogs do, right? They start drooling, they're salivating. Okay, and he takes the steak away and the dogs stop salivating. Then he brings the steak back again and he shows it to the dog, and the dog starts salivating again. He takes the steak away. Now he brings the steak out and he brings a bell. And he shows his dogs the steak and he rings the bell. And takes the steak away, and then he brings the steak and the bell back again, and they start doing the same thing, and then he brings the steak away. Now he brings out the bell all by itself and he starts ringing the bell. Now the dog starts salivating. Okay? That's called a conditioned stimulus. That bell is a conditioned stimulus, and so we associate stuff with stimulation. It could be, you had something happening to your life, and there was this wallpaper on the wall that happened that was really prominent and stuck in your memory, and this horrible thing happened in your experience, and you go about your life, and 10 years from now you're in a hotel room and it's got the same kind of wallpaper on the wall. You can start having the same physiological reactions kick into your body and not know why. I just don't feel comfortable inside this room here. And you'll get reactions. Reactions sometimes like what you had when that horrible situation happened to you.
There can be a song also.
A what?
A song from prior.
Yeah, a song, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I play music here a lot. I always, if you come in and you have treatment, I always play music, but I try and play music that doesn't have any memory to it. Because I don't want you lying on the table and, oh my God, that's when he broke up with me. It brings on these memories. Just a song can do that, right?
But it does have memories. It's like, God, that's nice. I wonder what that's called. Where can I get it?
Yeah, yeah, and because it'll take you someplace, but it'll take you someplace. Well, I guess it can take you someplace. It'll take you someplace based on your experience or where you might want to go. But at least it's not going to evoke something in you that you might have had an unpleasant experience. I try not to. It doesn't have a lot of vocals to the music that I play. But I try not to. I try to have a very calming environment when people are having a treatment instead of, you know, getting up and wanting to boogie or crying about their love lost or something that happened in their life. So we're going to talk about how to clear some of those blockages, and those blockages are the things that keep us from doing and being and having whatever it is that we want to do or be or have. So we're not just talking about anxiety and depression. Also, we're also can use these techniques to help get rid of blockages that keep you from being who you want to be, what you want to be, and do what you want to do. And when we talk about blockages, a lot of times we're talking about emotions. Well, I don't want you to have the idea that emotions are bad. Emotions are good. That's emotions are what make us who we are. And there's appropriate fear, and there's appropriate anger, and there's appropriate grief, and those things are, you know, what we're supposed to feel. Somebody just died recently, you're supposed to feel grief. When that grief gets to be, you know, years down the road, it's not like you're going to forget about the person that died, but you want to make sure that it's not going to keep on causing the physiology to kick into your body like the tiger there. Okay? Fear can be like your best friend sitting up there on your shoulder saying, pay attention, watch out here. Okay? So it doesn't have to be a reason not to. It just can be a little signal to you to say, pay attention, watch out, what's going on here. Sometimes anger can be something that's appropriate too, because it can mobilize your energy sometimes if you're stuck in a situation. So, so again, we're going to have different responses, and emotions are good. So the technique that we're going to be talking about most of the night is a technique called Neuro-Emotional Technique, and we can do a little demonstration here tonight. I won't embarrass anybody, I promise. But it takes into consideration that whole complex that I was talking about when we have physiological reactions happening in the body. There's my little pointer right here.
Magic wand.
That's it.
More scarier than the lion. Tiger.
Oh, I like to use the pointer, but it doesn't show up on the screen very well. So we're talking about a balance between structure, biochemical imbalances, and neuro-emotional imbalances. Okay. If you, like I say, if your structure is out of balance, it's going to cause you to not be very happy. If you're kind of walking around like this all the time, then that's not going to be a very happy situation for you to be in all the time, right? Or if you have tremors, that's not a very happy situation for you to be in, to be looking at the world like that and having the world look at you like that. So that can cause anxiety and mental emotional responses to the physical nervous system, hormonal imbalances, and immune system imbalances that we develop. So some of the people that do acupuncture, NET, or anybody, is one of the top psychiatrists, one of the directors of psychiatry at the Jefferson Hospital in Philadelphia is one of our teachers, and he uses NET in his practice every day. As a matter of fact, we, some of the certified practitioners, we went to Jackson, University of Miami Medical School, and we did a workshop for the second-year medical students, and it was unbelievable. I mean, these poor medical students who were, if you can imagine what it takes to get into med school, these kids, some of these kids, since they were little kids, have been pushed by their parents to, you're going to be a doctor, and it's not what they really wanted to be. And so they're pushed into this, and so I can tell you that so many of those people who were medical students had a lot of emotional issues that were going on, because we gave everybody in the class an NET experience. And they got so much out of that experience that the following month, the professors were all having a retreat, and they made us come back the following month to do a retreat for the professors at the medical school. And these old guys, you know, listen, old guys, here I am, I just turned 65, right? So, 75 years old, they're bawling their eyes out about stuff that happened when they were little kids. You know, they carry this stuff for their whole life, and it's just liberating when you can free the emotional bondage that's holding you in the same physiological patterns as if the tiger was sitting there. In 30 countries, NET, and again, NET is Neuro-Emotional Technique. Okay? So if you thought you were going to get a lecture tonight on sit down, talk it out therapy, that's not what we're doing. Okay? We want to try and bring the body and the mind into a synchronization so that you're able to handle the stresses that come along without having the same recurring baggage that keeps on kicking in every time you're exposed to the same situation. It doesn't have to happen. You can extinguish it just like Pavlov did. Oh, I didn't finish the experiment with Pavlov, did I? Okay, you're right. So, all right. So here's Pavlov, and now he comes out. He rings the bell, and the dogs salivate because they hear in the ring of the bell. They're expecting the steak to happen, and he takes it away, and he brings the bell back again. He rings the bell. They start salivating again. He takes the bell away, and he comes back in. He rings the bell, and the dog stops salivating. No salivation. You know, what do you think? I'm a freaking moron? Where's the steak? You know? So, at the point where you stop responding to that conditioned stimulus, the bell, that's called extinguishing. And you extinguish that. In other words, it doesn't have the same physiological reaction in your body as it used to have. Does that make sense? Yeah. So these are some of the things that we work on. Phobias, physical problems, self-sabotage techniques. We do kill ourselves, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, we can kill ourselves with our minds. People get into these self-sabotaging, and it keeps them from getting to where they want to get, doing what they want to do, having what they want to have. So, you know, I'll give you a really good example. Somebody might, I'll test somebody, and they'll, one of the things that might come to me, I want to have a big bank account. Okay, I'll test them, and can I use you for a minute, Sue?
You gonna make my bank account grow?
Yes. Okay. So here's how I test it. Okay. So Sue's arm is pretty strong. Okay. So I test Sue, and she's wants to come in. She wants me to help her to get her way. I don't want to say give you a big bank account. We want to try and take the blockages off why Sue might not have a big bank account. Okay. So I'll say, okay, Sue. So just say that expression. I'm okay having a big bank account.
I'm okay having a big bank account.
And she's like a rock, right? Okay. And so we work on that and clear away the blockages. It might be, there's no blockages in there, so she's okay with that. And then we might want to
why
test.
she doesn't?
Well, no, let's check, because we're multifaceted, right? She's not
You can
just,
go with any of the ones we've already done if you want.
No. She's not just a money-hungering, woman that's, it's all like she's got other facets in her being. So let's say she wants to have a strong spiritual life too, okay? And I'm okay having a strong spiritual life.
I'm okay having a strong spiritual life.
Okay, so she's okay with that. Okay, so there's nothing to fix there, right? Now, I'm okay having I'm okay having a big bank account and having a strong spiritual life. And so you say that, and for them, go ahead.
I'm okay Having a big bank account and a strong spiritual life.
Okay, and for demonstration, you know, well, it's weak anyway. Okay, but the point
But
is,
now we're gonna get started here.
we will later.
Oh,
There's a start. Okay, so the point is that she, you know, she's comfortable with both of those aspects, right? But she's not comfortable with both of them together. And that happens so much to us, doesn't it? That we get into a situation where we just can't seem to get to the step that we want to. We have all of these affirmations that we do on a daily basis, try and get us to where it is that we feel like we want to get to. But we have other things that are holding us back. So you can imagine why somebody might have that kind of a dynamic. I'm okay having a big bank account and having a strong spiritual life, because what have we been told since we were little kids? You know, God loved the poor people, and you know, if you got money and you're rich, then you must have screwed somebody someplace along the way, and it's not, you know, so you fight yourself from having this goal of having a big bank account, because you feel like it's not. I'm using this as an example, okay? So you can see how, from that type of an example, it can be a self-sabotaging behavior, right? Because you're doing something that, you know, on one level you really want, but on the other level, you know you're not okay because you're not being a strong, moral, spiritual person. So naturally, intellectually, we all know that there's no contradiction between having a big bank account and having a strong spiritual life, right? Jesus Christ was a rich guy. I mean, he wasn't poor. He wasn't a poor guy. He didn't have a job, right?
Jesus.
So, and you know, the Bible talks about, you know, abundance and, you know, asking for what you want and all the stuff that, you know, a lot of people are really working on. So we try and do with NET is to try and get rid of the blockages that keep us from attaining those goals that we have and we want in our life.
So,
Yeah.
the Bible says, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't believe that.
Right.
So where does that blockage?
I would start off with, how about I'm okay asking for what I want. You know, you can be, and the whole concept of being okay with something doesn't mean, being okay with something doesn't even mean that it's your heart's desire. It doesn't mean that it's, you know, it doesn't mean that it's your preference even. Being okay with something means that it doesn't have a charge on it. And you need to have something that doesn't have a charge on it for you to be able to get where you want to get to. And I can't tell you how many times that I've had somebody having a difficult relationship with someone, or even something that they didn't even perceive was a difficult relationship. Here, if we have some water here, anybody, if you like some water, somebody just tell me if you want some water.
Sure. I think a lot of times you can set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, sure.
You're gonna go to a party, you think this is gonna be fantastic, and then you get there and it's a bump.
And
That can relate to a lot of things.
Sure.
You get yourself so built up for something that it's self-destructing, you know.
Exactly.
You set yourself up for disappointment.
yeah. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody that said, I've got a spouse, and let's say the spouse's name is George, okay? And I test this person, and how about, I'm okay with George. And they go, and they've been together for, you know, 30 years, okay? I'm okay with George, and they go like this, right? The beautiful part about the muscle test, doing this stuff here, the beautiful part about the muscle test is it bypasses the cognitive reasoning and cognitive answers that somebody's going to give me. So if I ask, you know, do you love George? Yeah, I love George. I'm crazy about George. We've been together for 30 years. And I test them like this. I'm okay with George, and they go like this. Well, it doesn't mean that they don't love George. It doesn't mean they don't care about George. All it means is that on some level they're not lined up with that whole concept of being okay with George. And then I test them, I'm okay without George, and they go well, they're screwed, right? And it doesn't mean that they, so let's look at the dynamics on that. I'm okay with George and they blow out like this. What are they going to be doing on a subconscious level? They're not okay with George. And they're going to do what? They're going to be trying to do things to get away from George or stay away from George or not really make a connection with George, right? They're not, I'm okay without George. And they go like this. What are they going to do in that case? They're going to be desperately running over and trying to cling on to and hold on to George, because that whole idea, the concept of being without George is going to be something that they just can't handle that. So you need to be okay with somebody. You don't want to be desperately running after somebody, and you don't want to be desperately running away from them either. You want to be able to be with somebody in a relationship because that's what you want to do. And I can't tell you how many spouses I've had come in and we do some spouse training.
How many spouses have you had?
Huh? Yeah. But, you know, I'll put you know, one person sitting on the table here and the spouse is over here in the back and they're looking at the spouse, and I'll just say to them, George, I love you. And they're sitting here and George is over here and they blow up. Now, that doesn't mean they don't love George. It just means that there's something about that expression that they're not completely lined up with. And so it's important, and it changes the relationship when you can get rid of the baggage that people are carrying around that they may have had for their whole life, interfering with the present relationships that they have in their life. That's a big deal. And it's freeing. It allows you to be where you want to be because it's good for you, not because you're desperately running after or desperately running away from. And that sounds great, doesn't it? I mean,
Sounds typical.
well, it's where you want to be. You want to be in that position. You don't want to be stuck in a relationship because, we were taught, you get married and you stay married no matter what, and you stay in this horrible relationship for the kids because God doesn't like you if you get divorced. My poor mom and dad, stepdad, they were together for years, and they couldn't get married for years because my mom had been divorced, right? So finally they went and talked to Monsignor Nugent down at St. Helens, and he said, well, for $3,500 we can
For enough money, the Catholic Church will do anything.
we can annul your first marriage. I said, you can't do that, Mom. That'll make us bastards.
That's right.
So so they were happy. They were able to finally bring it together. But some people carry that stuff around. They're not able to really get to where they want to get to because of the external obstructions that keep them from getting there. So destructive beliefs, a lot of times, you can imagine that people have self-sabotaging, destructive beliefs that carry over from childhood. Most of the stuff comes from childhood. Phobias, chronic physical problems, and phobias. Phobias. I have a lot of people afraid of flying. I'm afraid of flying. I'm afraid of spiders. And you show them a picture of a spider and they start getting the tiger hormones pumping through their body. You're showing them a picture of a spider. And fear of flying, lack of control. A lot of times that's the emotion that seems to come up is a lack of control over events. So we have to work through, in the NET process, we work through and extinguish, again, it's extinguishing that sense of lack of control, which may have come from, many years ago when they were, when they were kids, when they were children, when they truly perceived that they didn't have any control, right? I mean, ultimately, we don't have any control anyway, right? I mean, we're down here making all these plans for our life, and this is, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and God says, let's give Sue a challenge right now. Sue needs a real challenge. It'd be good for her. Right? So this stuff happens, right? And so we have to be okay with the idea of having control, and we need to be okay with the whole idea of not having control. So it's not about preference. It's like, okay, there's something like, that's something that's not going to cause you to have physiological reactions to happen in your body if you feel like you don't have control. It's like you like a really nice warm sunny day, and you go out, you get ready to go out and wash your car, and you got your bucket and your rags, and you get ready to go out, and it starts raining. Okay, well, it looks like I get another Florida car wash. So, that's what happens. You want to be able to, big deal. It's not even as active as accepting. It's just, okay, it's raining out, so I'll do it another time, or else, it'll be washed when I come back out again next time.
How many people say, oh, the weather's lousy, it's just,
Yeah, it's just rain, yeah, so, yeah. I'm okay with that, and there may be emotional reasons why they're not okay with the rain. I had this kid that was scared to death of thunderstorms, and I was going through, I don't know, he must have been about 12, I think, and so I was going through the whole NET process. I'm okay with the thunder and lightning storms. And what happened? So we look for the emotions, and I'm going through the emotions, because with the NET process we can kind of laser light go right to the instigating situation that caused that physiology to kick into the body, and then extinguish that charge from that original emotional event. So you imagine that thunderstorms. You can imagine how somebody might have fear, right? And that, well, the emotion he was dealing with wasn't fear; it was grief. So, and then we, in the whole NET process, we timeline exactly when that thing might have happened. And his timeline went back to, I think it was 5, 6 years old, something like that. So, where his mother was there, and so she, if he didn't remember, at least his mom could help me out. So what happened 5, 6 years old? He had an uncle that he was very close to, and they took him to the hospital to visit his uncle, and then the uncle was dying, and there was a thunderstorm outside the window, and the uncle died while he was at the hospital. And so every time there's a thunderstorm that comes along now, he has the same physiology kicking into his body as if he was there and watching his uncle die. So you see what I mean by the physiology can kick into our bodies, and it can stay there, and it can be instigated by a similar situation. Just the stimulation of the thunderstorm brought him back to the hospital room where his uncle was dying.
Did you work on that?
Oh, we did the process, the NET process, and extinguished the emotions that he had right there at that time when he was there with his uncle.
So maybe change it, maybe think about the positive of the uncle perhaps.
No, it's not about fixing it or changing it. It's making it about being okay with the horror of whatever the situations are, and it's just being okay with it so that you can kind of move on and not have to be having the same physiology kick into your body every time there's a thunderstorm. Yeah, that's kind of like what it's more like that. It's not about positive reinforcement, and all of those things are really good. I love it when people bring in their affirmations, the affirmations that they try and reinforce in their subconscious on a daily basis, and they keep on reaffirming and affirming and affirming these things. So I need them to bring those affirmations into the session so that I can make sure that they're really lined up with it, that they're okay with it. This mission statement that we have here, the purpose of this clinic is to help as many people as possible in their quest for optimal health and to educate those people about the benefits of alternative medicine. So that's what we do here. Now everybody here operates on that mission statement because I checked everybody when they come to work for me to make sure that they are okay with it. Because I don't want them having subconscious sabotaging techniques that they're going to be doing, and I know they don't need to do it if they do it, but I need to make sure everybody's lined up on the same page, because everything that we do here, what this gathering right here is really about, you know, educating people. Because if I never see you again, you're gonna hear something here that you're gonna be talking to somebody, and you know, you're gonna really say, you'll remember what you heard here, and you might say, well, you know, why don't you get on and talk to them? So, I can be the best doctor in the world, but if I can't get somebody to walk through the front door, I can't help them. So, you know, you guys are like the soldiers out there that if you hear something here tonight that sounds like, gee, that makes some sense, and you're talking to somebody else, you have a different perspective that, you know, you can, instead of, you know, why don't you go and take this antidepressant tranquilizer, and I'm not saying don't take those things, you know, because, well, you know, suicide really limits your options. So, you know, if you're having those types of things going on in your head, you want to try and you just do what you have to do until you can get some help. But you shouldn't have to keep on taking something for the rest of your life. If you have to keep on taking something for the rest of your life to make you be able to function in the world, then it's not really addressing that deeper underlying reason why you have that situation going on, is it? I mean, so yeah, you if you need something to keep you stable, that's fine. But you want to try and look for the deeper underlying reason why you have to take that stuff. Okay, so some of the things we talked about, the muscle testing is a part of it, the Pavlovian response, the physiology of emotions. Okay, so you close your eyes, and there you are, you're at the kitchen sink, and you got this lemon, big juicy yellow lemon, and you're gonna cut that lemon in half, and you're gonna lift that lemon up, and you're just gonna bite into the lemon. Okay. So I see some pursed lips there. The point is that just the image of something is going to cause physiological reactions to happen in the body. And I can tell you that saliva that's generated in your mouth from thinking about the lemon, the enzymes that are in that saliva are the same enzymes that you would use to digest lemons or to eat lemons. So it's that specific.
When you do the stress test, they tell you if you have trouble creating enough saliva to take those samples, to do that with the
Yeah, because they're not testing the enzymes. Anyway, they just want you to get some saliva up to be able to have a sufficient sample. Yeah. Or you can chew some gum. Yeah, sometimes that helps people. So, and part of NET also has to do with this thing called repetition compulsion. Repetition compulsion. Huh? No, good. No.
I'm just reading themselves.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. No, repetition compulsion is an interesting phenomenon. It's a situation where we kind of seem to keep on repeating the same behavior over and over and over. And a lot of times you keep on repeating that same behavior over and over and over in an attempt to try and fix it. That happens. I can tell you, you know, and this is a pretty dramatic example. So the statistics on women that get raped, that population, those women that have been raped, have a much higher percentage than the general population to end up becoming raped again. That's just the statistics. Now, does that mean that she wants to be raped? No, of course not. But the dynamics start getting put into place where you have this repetition compulsion thing. You might put yourself in a situation where it's, you know, you're not in a safe environment, and, you know, maybe in an effort to try and fix it. Who knows? You know, but that's what the statistics are. That's a dramatic example of repetition compulsion. And then we have the emotion meridian connection. That's where the Chinese medicine aspect of NET comes in with NET, because we have different, let me see this, do I have a diagram in here someplace, but I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the acupuncture charts that have the lines going up and down the body, and those lines on the body are energy pathways. They're meridians. We call them meridians. They're energy pathways, and when we talk about the energy in the body, we're not just talking about, gee, I feel pretty good, you know, I'm feeling pretty energetic today, or my energy's kind of low today. So when I talk about energy, I'm really talking about it at a much deeper level. So the level I'm talking about it is the same as, let's say, I'm going to bring it to the ultimate here. So here you are, you're with somebody, and that person's, they're dying, okay? Now you're with them, and 2 seconds later they're dead. Okay, now what's the difference between this state here and this state here? Still got the blood, still got the nerves, still got the neurotransmitters, all the hormones, all the chemicals, everything's still there. There's no life force that's making any of those chemical processes happen anymore. The only chemical processes that are happening at this point are chemical processes that are bringing us closer to dirt, right? Dust, right? That's where we end up, right? So that life force is the stuff that we're working on with acupuncture, and we're working on with Chinese medicine. And that life force traverses these energetic pathways. You know, we also have this energetic circulatory system. 300 years ago, we didn't know that there was a blood circulatory system until a guy named Harvey discovered the blood circulatory system. But we certainly had a blood circulatory system before he found it, right? And now we know that there's a lymph circulatory system and a nervous circulatory system. And we're coming to realize in conventional medicine that there is an energy circulatory system too. And we can measure those things. We can measure that there's something happening at this point that's not happening, you know, ½ an inch away. There's a different electrical resistance at the acupuncture points than there is in the surrounding tissue. So we can kind of map these things electrically. So all of these meridians are associated with internal organs. And so when I say internal organs, I want to give you a good example of what I'm talking about, because the concepts are really different. So let's use liver. Okay, the word in Chinese for liver is gan. Okay, so when a Chinese doctor is talking about gan, they're talking about the physical liver organ. They're also talking about the external pathways that go up and down the body and traverse different parts of the body. They're also talking about the emotions that go with gan. Emotions that go with gan are things like anger and resentment and frustration and being stubborn. And it doesn't even have to be your emotions. It can be you responding to somebody else's emotions. And that happens, doesn't it? You know, a lot of times people are very kind of laid back, and, you know, they don't have a lot of anger and resentment, but if they get confronted with somebody that is angry and resentful, then they can start to get physiology kicking into their body because of this other person's anger, right? Mm-hmm. So this happens. We're also talking, when we talk about gan, gan is one of the functions of gan is to nourish the tendons and ligaments in the body. It also nourishes the eyes. We know in conventional medicine people have problems with the liver. Sometimes the eyes turn yellow. We also associate gan with conditions that sometimes get worse in the springtime, or conditions get worse between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. If somebody wakes up every morning, 1:15, I wake up, if it's the same time all the time, I'm looking at imbalances in the gan. Okay? So, all of those correspondences, all those things that go together, they may speak in a shouting type of voice, and you know, somebody that's got lung pathology might talk in kind of a crying type of voice, and like this here, and somebody that's has problems with the kidneys might be talking in a very fearful type of voice, and the gan person, the liver person, is going to speak more in shouting type of a voice. So, all of that richness of the word gan, when we took that word gan and acupuncture came over to this country, the closest translation we can get to gan is liver. Okay? So you miss all the richness of that concept of liver. So that's what I'm talking about, the mental, emotional, comprehensive aspect of Chinese medicine is utilized in the emotion meridian connection here. And then certainly, we talked about how things that have happened a long time ago in our life, when we get exposed to a similar type of situation. It doesn't even have to be the same exact thing. You get to expose to the similar type of situation, it can cause that same physiology to kick into the body. And it will cause those same physiological reactions to happen in us that were instigated by the original situation. And that may have happened because we were in a weakened state at that point, and something that might have been okay before caused us to have these physiological reactions kicking into the body. So you don't forget things. Your body doesn't forget things. So emotions. Actually, this is from medical dictionaries, these definitions of emotions. I'll read the small. Passions are sensibilities characterized by physical changes in the body, such as alteration in the heart rate, respiratory activity, vasomotor reactions, and changes in muscle tone. That's from Tabor's Encyclopedic Medical Dictionary. This is one of the books that doctors use in order to, they want to look up a word. So it's about physiology, isn't it? Emotions they cause physiological reactions to happen in the body. I met this lady, Candace Pert, and she wrote a beautiful book called The Molecules of Emotion. Beautiful. She was a research scientist at NIH, National Institute for Health, and she was one of the co-discoverers of the opiate receptor sites in the brain. She was a heavy-duty research scientist. And this book that she wrote showed us that emotions are actually physical substances. They're called information substances that circulate through our blood. And that was her contribution to NET. She came to one of our NET seminars. Beautiful lady. She died, I think, a year or two ago.
Really?
Yeah. But you want an interesting read called Molecules of Emotion.
She was also very prominent in the movie What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yeah, she was in that movie. Yeah. What the Bleep Do We Know? That's another interesting movie.
What's the name of it?
What the Bleep Do We Know?
What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we don't know anything. Okay, emotions and neuropeptides attached to receptors stimulating an electrical charge on neurons. That was her definition of emotions. Emotions are neuropeptides. Then they're stuff. Emotions are stuff. It's not just electrical transmissions in the brain. So that was a really wonderful contribution. So we talked about that. Emotions are healthy and natural. It's just when we have to spend too much energy controlling the emotions, or the emotions control us, and that's a problem, right? And that's why we have emotions, isn't it? To promote our survival, you know, for whether it's dealing with the tiger or looking for somebody to procreate with to keep the species going. I mean, all of these, you know, here's a physiological reaction. You fall in love, and you get what? You get butterflies in your stomach, right? Those are neurotransmitters that are being activated in your system. And they cause physiological reactions. Okay, so when the emotions get stuck, then it forms this thing here we call a neuro-emotional complex. And a lot of this stuff, I think it's probably good around this time to maybe do a demonstration with you to try and show you what I'm talking about. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to embarrass anybody. I'll kind of make up the scenario as we go along so that you don't have to blab your stuff to everybody, okay? And, okay, so this is what NET does. It resolves those neuro-emotional components, the complexes, the complex of physiology and emotion that becomes kicked in when we get exposed to a situation or we think about something. And then we talked about the conditioned response. Conditioned response was the thing with the Pavlov dog and the bell. Okay, so here's Pavlov's dogs, right? Who drool for bells. I can see somebody out there with that now, right? And so I want to bring up across another point. So here's an example about generalization of stimulus. So here's a kid playing with the cat. He looks pretty happy. He's there playing with the cat. And then what happens? Happy kid in the presence of a cat. Oh, you couldn't hear that. Let me try it again. Yeah. So, yeah, now the kids, a cat truck goes by and backfires, and the kid's here with the cat, and now he's got this sound here. That's the stimulus, right? Okay. And now what happens? Now he's scared of the cat, right? And then it translates and transforms into, anything with fur. So now he's afraid of Santa Claus. Where did that come from? Came from back there. So now there was a cat. Now he's afraid of dogs. He's afraid of people with beards like Santa Claus. And so if you know kids that are afraid of Santa Claus, they get kind of freaked out. They don't want to sit on Santa's lap. And, it's got to come from someplace. So these are stimulus generalizations that can happen that are not the same. The point is that it's not the same exact situation. It was a backfiring truck when he was sitting there with the cat. Now anything that he associates with a furry animal, whether it's a Santa Claus or it's a dog, is going to cause that same physiology the cat can kick into his body as it was when he was sitting there with the cat and the truck backfired.
You can do some things that are very unintentional too. I have an adult son who grew up being scared of Santa Claus because I used to sing a song about him, make a list, check it twice, and find out if they're naughty or nice. And I found this out when he was in his late 20s.
Yeah.
I never intended to.
Of course not. But he didn't want to be found out.
Right.
Santa knows everything. Oh no, I had a bad thought about this person. That's why the Catholics got it down. You just go to confession. Everything's okay. It's a joke. I was raised Catholic. Anyway, so we use the muscle testing as a way to identify the certain parts of that NEC, and that muscle testing has also been proven in, let me see, validated. This is Dr. Monti. He's a psychiatrist at the Jefferson Hospital in Philadelphia, and he wrote a paper that was published in Perceptual and Motor Skills in '99, muscle test comparisons of congruent and incongruent self-referential statements. So I always test people before I do a session with them to make sure that they're congruent, that they're lined up, and so who wants to stick an arm out? Come on up. So. Yeah, okay. Just tell everybody what your name is.
Lori.
Lori. Okay, stick your arm up, Lori. Okay. So, I'm going to push down and you're just going to resist, okay? So there's two ways that I can test people. It depends on what I'm going to be doing with them. So let's just do, I'm just going to press your arm and you can just keep it strong, okay? Okay, she's a great tester. I'm glad you came up. Okay, so just say, my name is Lori.
My name is Lori.
Okay, just say, my name is George.
My name is George.
My name is Lori.
My name is Lori.
My name is George.
My name is George.
Okay, so now that's not a lie, is it? It's not a lie. It's so ridiculous that it's not a lie, right? It's just Laurie saying something like that is something that's completely incongruent with her sense of reality, and that's what she's responding to. She's responding to the incongruency of it. So.
Was she trying not to push down when
Yeah.
she said George?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, and it's pretty clear. I mean, this is the first night I've met Laurie. I've met already. Well, yeah, at another doctor's office we met. Yeah. So, but we've never done this before anyway. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for her to be incongruent with a test statement, and the test statement is, my name is George. Now I know what a weak arm feels like for Laurie. And so then I can go into some of the things that might be issues for Laurie, you know, and like I said, so let's say it's, oh.
Try a female name? Susan?
Yeah, sure. How about, my name is Sally.
My name is Sally.
Okay. So again, what's happening? This is the same thing. What's just happening here with Laurie? Try my name's Laurie.
My name is Lori.
See, she's like a rock. So what's happening here? This is kind of like the same exact idea as a lie detector test. Only it's kind of much more portable, so I don't have to hook her up to anything. Because lie detectors don't test whether you're telling the truth or not.
I flunked one when I told the truth.
Yeah, well, and it can be that way too. And maybe the question that they asked was something that may have a neuro-emotional complex on it. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? So it's a test that's testing whether or not she's saying something that she's congruent with. Because people that are psychotic can fool lie detector tests all the time because they believe what they're saying. They're really, this is their reality, they're okay with it. So it's not something that's foreign to them. And so when you take a lie detector test, it's going to measure things like your heart rate, it's going to measure things like sweat coming off of your pores, the dampness of your skin, it's going to measure blood pressure. So it measures what? It measures physiological reactions in our system. Well, one of the things that it doesn't measure, because they don't test it, is that what's the response of your muscles. And your muscles respond the same way. So one of the things that you say, one of the things that happens to you physiologically, aside from a change in your heart rate and your blood pressure and your respiration and all of it, is that your muscles go weak also. So that's why the muscle test is a really nice test, because it's so immediate. I can do it with, I can be at the beach and do this thing with somebody if I need it. Okay, so it's really helpful for that way. So let's. Boy, I was trying to pick something. I don't want to embarrass you or.
Don't get embarrassed, really.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know where this stuff goes either. But we don't have to. We'll just do. Let's say. I don't know. Give me a name of somebody that you love.
Mom.
Mom. Okay. So so just say I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay without mom.
I'm okay without mom.
I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
You're trying now on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm okay without mom.
I'm okay without mom.
Okay. So this is kind of like what I was talking about. This is a real thing here. I mean, say my name is Laurie.
My name is Laurie.
She's great. She's a really good muscle test.
Do me a favor and try Susan.
I'm okay with Susan?
I'm okay with Susan.
Okay, you're okay with Susan. I'm okay without Susan.
I'm okay without Susan.
Okay,
That's my middle name, that's why I wanted to say it.
Okay, yeah. And I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay without mom.
I'm okay without mom.
Yeah, it's always mom. Oh, mom. So again, what does that mean? That means that doesn't mean that she doesn't love mom. It doesn't mean that she hates mom. It doesn't mean that, all it means is that the concept of mom in her being is making this physiological reaction happen in her body, okay? And we can kind of figure out what it is by, again, putting those correlations together with Chinese medicine and the meridians and the path and the different pulse points. So we'll go for a little bit, okay? Like I said, I won't embarrass you. Just let this one relax. So I'm going to touch on different points on your wrist here, okay? Mm-hmm. And what I want you to do is just say that again. I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
Okay, that's different. Say I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
If you're not okay, but I come over here and say it again.
I'm okay with mom.
Now that's different, changed. Okay, so all I'm looking for, when I find that there's a change in the muscle strength, that's what I'm looking for. Now what that tells me is that there's 3 points over here on Susan's wrist that I'm contacting here, and they all have to do with a connection with the heart and the liver and the kidneys. So I know that one of those points is a point that she was reacting to that made her muscle strength get stronger.
Can you demonstrate heart, liver, and what? Show where they are.
This is the heart, this is the liver, this is the kidneys. Now, remember what we talked about before? It's not just
pressure points?
yeah, those are points that correspond to the different organs. Now remember, this is not just heart, liver, and kidneys. This is Shen, Gan, and Shen. Okay? The whole complex of those organs that we're talking about here. And so there are some emotions that are associated with these organ points. Okay? So now my job is to find out which one of these was the hot one, because I know one of these 3 is. So I'm just going to have you say the thing again. I'm going to just contact one of these at a time now. Okay? So I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
Okay, that's weak. So there's no change there, right? Say, I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
That's weak. So all I'm looking for is a change in the muscle strength now. So I'm going to try another one here. Try that. I'm okay with mom.
I'm okay with mom.
That's like a rock, okay? So I'm touching on the middle one here now, okay? So now you're just going to kind of disconnect from that whole picture of mom, okay? And if this is going someplace, it's none of all these people's business,
I'll tell you.
But I want you to have this because we can fix this. If it seems like it's going someplace and it's nobody's business, and you want to just kind of keep it in your head, and you can say, okay, I think this is what it is, we can test it that way too. Okay, you don't have to blab your stuff to anybody. Okay.
Okay.
But we know that you changed the muscle strength when I touched on this area here.
Mm-hmm.
That area corresponds to the liver, the gan. So I know that there's some emotions that are associated with that area there. So I'm just going to throw those emotions out there, and you keep the arm strong, okay? So, keep it strong. Okay. How about concept of anger? How about resentment? How about frustration? And let's see, so we got an emotion there now. So we got the concept of mom, we got the concept of the emotion, which is frustration. Now we want to find out whose frustration, because we talked about before, it doesn't even have to be Laurie's frustration, it could be somebody else's frustration. So let's check it out. So, concept of your frustration, mom's frustration, your frustration. Okay, so it's Laurie's frustration, right? Okay, so is there anything that you, any way that you can, your body seems to be responding to the dynamic of mom, and the emotion that seems to be associated with mom is frustration. Your frustration. Is there any way that you can take and put those two concepts together in any kind of way that makes any sense to you?
Very easily.
Okay, so your frustration with mom because...
I would love to have her move in with her mother just passed away last month at 100. She's ready to move back in with me. That created issues. A lot of frustration on my part. She's, you know, I'm still her baby and only daughter of 5 kids, and there's the frustration. Her treating me as her baby still.
Okay. So that whole picture. Okay, you got that picture, that whole sense of, you know, you still being treated like the baby, and the frustration of, you know, mom just not letting you break out and be yourself, and that what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's one of them. That's the main one.
Okay. All right. So that whole picture. You got that picture? Hold that picture. Okay. So concept of your frustration at not being able to, you know, be liberated, to be free. That whole picture. That makes sense to you? Okay. All right. So we got the issues now here, right? Okay. So now what we want to do is try and find a timeline. You know, maybe in a possibility of an original event when Laurie might have felt that sense of frustration of being stifled in her growth, that whole picture. So let's just look at the concept of an original event when you had frustration at being stifled. Okay, and so that all that means is that, yeah, there was a time, well, there was a previous time. Concept of an original event, and she blows out just the thought of an original event. Yeah, but it was an original. You see, if I ask Laurie this stuff, what's she going to do? She's going to give me what she's thinking and what she remembers. The beauty of the muscle test is it bypasses all of that. We're really talking on a subconscious level here. We're talking on a body level that her physiology is remembering, and we don't even have the event yet, but her body knows. We don't know yet, but so we're trying to get to that. See how we kind of like take it down in chunks, and we just kind of, you know, get to the instigating situation that caused all this original physiology to happen in the body. Okay. So the concept of an original event. So we have that when you felt stifled, and the concept of that original event, concept of conception to 10 years old. Concept of conception to 10. Concept of conception to 5. Concept of 12 years old. Okay, I just threw that in there because I want to make sure she's not just blowing out on me. Because it can't be between conception and 5 and be 12 years old at the same time, right? So I throw that in there sometimes just to make sure somebody isn't just letting it go on me. So, because your only job is keep the arm strong, okay, and it goes where it goes. So you feeling stifled, the concept of conception to 5 years old, concept of conception to birth. Oh, you would do this at me. I'm in front of everybody and you're doing this to me, Laurie, come on.
What am I doing?
Nothing, I'm just kidding you. Okay, so what does that mean? So now there's something, here we are, we're back in utero, the concept of conception to birth, right? Okay.
I don't know what my brother's left on it.
I know.
Writings on the uteral walls.
Honestly, I have no idea where it goes. I just go where it goes.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So, okay, so let's take it down in chunks from there. Okay, so how about concept of conception to 6 months in utero? How about the concept of conception to 3 months in utero? Concept of conception to 1 month in utero? 2 months in utero? 3 months in utero? 3 months in utero? So, Laurie, where were you? What was going on? What was happening in your life at that time?
Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Okay, when it goes back like this, sometimes the emotions it changes the emotions.
That surprises me.
Who the heck knows? So let's just check and see if that's frustration back conception at 3 months in utero. Let's see if that's your frustration or somebody else's frustration. Okay, so keep that strong. So somebody else's frustration, your frustration. Your frustration, stifled. So stifled in your growth. So concept of anything to do with mom back at that time, dad back at that time, brothers, sisters.
Brothers.
Okay, want to name them off one at a time. Concept of
David. Rick. Steve? Jay? Any brothers I got?
Okay.
I know.
Concept of mom, dad.
My grandparents were, my grandmother, great-grandmother were.
Okay.
Grandmother?
Grandmother.
Great-granny?
About, okay.
Oh, before I was born, I had another great-grandmother living in the home with an aunt living on that.
Okay. And
Aunt Shorty?
Aunt Shorty.
Mimi?
Okay. She's like a rock. And mom,
Mom?
dad.
Dad?
How about siblings?
Siblings? There's all the brothers.
Siblings.
Siblings?
Siblings.
Siblings?
Siblings, okay. And you went through all your brothers, right?
And I have these sisters.
Right. Okay, so where are we at here? I mean, this never happened to me up in front of everybody before.
Maybe it was the collectiveness of the siblings.
All right, want to take a look at that? Take a look at the collectiveness of all of your brothers, okay? That whole picture. Siblings. Sibling brother. Sibling brother. Sibling brother. Okay. Okay, so here's what we got, right? We got 3 months in utero. We got frustration at feeling kind of stifled in your growth, right? We got 3 months. It's not to do with mom. It's got to do with sibling. We already checked all of her siblings, right? Okay, and so mom didn't have any miscarriages or anything like that that you know of? Okay, all right. So here's where we are. We're back there at 3 months in utero. So this is a situation where, and this is not alternative medicine woo out there stuff that I'm going to kind of broach to you. It's coming up here right now. There's a concept called the vanishing twin.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
What is it called?
It's called the vanishing twin. Anybody know any obstetricians? Know any obstetricians? Okay. I have a friend that's a obstetrician, and I was sitting having dinner with him one time, and I said, Harold, when you've delivered babies, have you ever seen the remains of fetal tissue in the placenta? And he said, oh, you mean, in his words, oh, you mean the vanishing twin. So, yeah, the statistics are that 1 in 8 of us is actually conceived as a twin. Now, the birth rate for twins is not 1 in 8. So what does that mean? That means that many of us that come into this world with our twin like this, and our whole experience of the universe for the short period that we've been conceived, 3 months, your experience of the universe is like this. Now your twin checks out. Okay? What kind of emotions could you possibly feel in that situation? How about fear, anger, grief, frustration, guilt, anything, right? You can feel anything. Laurie's body seems to be responding to the dynamic of frustration. Frustration, the whole idea of, because, and again, I don't know if this happened, okay? I don't know if this is actual historical reality. It's emotional reality. Your body seems to be responding to that dynamic. So I don't want to tell you, yeah, you had a twin. I don't know if that happened. You may have, but I can't say that that happened. Okay? But your body seems to be responding to that dynamic. Okay? So if that's the case, and we can, we're at the point now where we can kind of fix this. Okay? So make that strong. Okay. So I want you to get it, and you're gonna sit down. Well, I can fix you up. You're gonna go back there. You're gonna let your whole life just collapse right back now, back to your 3 months in utero. You're there. You're floating around. We checked it out. It was a brother. You were floating around with your brother. Your brother checks out, and you with that sense of frustration, that being stifled. Okay. My God, am I gonna be next? That whole picture. Keep that strong. That look at that picture. And get that whole picture. Okay, so that's where it changed. It changed. See how it changed again? Okay, that's what happened. So Laurie, I'm going to have you come over here and fix this thing, okay? Okay. I can't let her just float around and hang around with this thing, okay? We got to fix this thing.
Well, there's something that I'll tell you when we're done.
Okay. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to take. Let me see here. Put this hand on your forehead. No, your whole hand. And take this finger here and put it on this, anyone you want. Put it on that thing here. Yeah, and just you can put your elbows on your knees if you want. And what I want you to do is I want you to just collapse and go back right there to that whole original situation. If you can get your imagination into this, because we were in utero, right? Who the heck knows what happened? But your body's responding to this dynamic. So I want you to be there and just feeling that frustration of not being able to grow and being stifled, okay? And I want you to stay with that. I don't want you to try and make it go away. I don't want you to try and fix it. I want you, the operative word that you want to be with this whole situation is just wallow in it. Just be there in the whole dynamic, and when you feel like it shifts for you, and it will, as you stay all hooked up here, when it feels like it shifts for you, the dynamic changes, you can just put your arms down and we'll just check it out again, okay? But take your time with this, okay?
Is this supposed to help with you?
Either it's changed or I was distracted. One of the two, I'm not sure.
All right, let's check it out again. Let's get that out here again. Let's get that strong. Okay, can you bring that back? Can you go back there, 3 months in utero again? Can you be there for a second? Got that? Good for you. Just turn your head to the left for a second. Any more emotion associated with that same picture? Look at me for a second. Let's go back where we started off at. I'm okay with Mom.
I'm okay with one.
Beautiful. Thank you.
My mom's a twin.
Did you hear that?
My
Did you hear it?
my mother's a twin. My great grandmother had twin sisters. My brother married a twin. They have twin boys. And my nephew's wife just lost twins 2 years ago.
my God. Oh, that's beautiful.
I had no clue that. But my name was supposed to be Mark Scott.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
question, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure that's tying in here.
You're gonna see though, that's gonna change things with your mom coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, Sue?
I'm thinking of the physiological aspects of emotions in the body, and you're using NET to clear those.
Yeah.
Is there any point, if a person is experiencing severe physiological symptoms and has been for quite a while, is there any time frame when that can no longer be effective?
No. No. I had a woman one time, she was in her 80s when she came to see me. That was 15 years ago. And she was coming to see me, and we were working on allergies, we were working on whatever aches and pains were. And we were doing the NET process, and her original significant emotional event went back to when she was 16 years old. And she couldn't remember what the heck was going on at 16 years old. So we go back, and so I said, you know, I don't know where to go with these. Your body seems to be responding to the dynamic of something happening at 16 years old. And I certainly don't know what was going on back at then. So maybe what you can do is go home, look at some pictures, you know, talk to you know, anybody that might have been around at that time, because I don't know where to go with it. You know, your body seems to be responding to the dynamic of something happening back at 16 years old. So she comes back the next time, she says, you know, I was leaving the office and, oh my God, I know it. So at 16 years old, she had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend left to go into the war, World War I, and she met up with this other guy, and you know, she slept with this guy, and she got pregnant, and she went and had an abortion. Now, 15 years ago, she was 85 years old, so you can imagine when she was 16 years old what going for an abortion entailed, right? It wasn't like, yeah, it was a big deal, right?
I don't know.
So, I know, but you can, you know, but she shoved this stuff so far down inside of her that she never wanted to be able to come in contact with it again. And we do that as a survival mechanism. You know, we do all kinds of counseling and work on ourselves that helps us to deal in the world from here up.
Yeah.
What NET is fixing is the physiology that gets kicked into the body because of those dynamics of those emotional situations. And you know, that was freeing for her. 85 years she's walking around with this stuff affecting her body, and it was just freeing for her to just clear that thing away. In as fast a time as we just did that with Lori.
But did it change your physiological symptoms?
I don't remember.
That was kind of what I was getting
Yeah,
at.
yeah. It would change. It would change. The answer is yes. It changes her physiology so that that situation is no longer causing her to have those same physiological reactions to kick into her body. Now,
But I mean, if someone...
I don't know if it had something to do with her back pain or not, but I just don't recall the situation that got us into that place. But it did clear that so that she was lighter. She was much more free after that. She was a very, you know, tightened, hardened down type person before, and made a dramatic difference in her interaction with the world.
Well, you probably know what I'm thinking of, but you know, suppose someone had a serious, very serious autoimmune disease,
Yeah.
and traditional medicine isn't
Yeah.
correcting it.
Yeah. Can there be an emotional component to it? Yes.
Yes, I do believe it
And
can be,
can
but
that change the physiology? Yeah, it can.
even when that autoimmune disease has been going on for a considerable amount of time.
It can change things, yeah. Will it? I don't know. But yeah, can it? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get our stuff for so many reasons. Yeah. So this is Dr. Scott here. This is the man that invented NET. just one of the, you know, most quality human beings you're ever going to want to meet. She's a chiropractor, and just you know, discovered NET almost by serendipity, going to different workshops himself and putting concepts of Chinese medicine together with physiology, and he went to a chiropractic workshop one time, and somebody was doing some emotional work, and what happened was this person kept on getting the same type of situation that would go away. It would come and it would go away. It would come and it would go away. What's the joke with chiropractic? How many adjustments? How many chiropractors does it take to fix a back? Only one, but you got to keep on coming back forever.
Yeah, right.
But that's a joke, and that's his joke. So the point is that,
The word's changed 3 times.
yeah. Oh, the other way. Okay. So he's there at this seminar, and somebody was demonstrating that they would do the adjustment on this person, and bang, it would be perfectly strong. And then they would have the person just walk down the back of the room and walk back up again, and the thing that they had just fixed was back again. So the person had injured their back in an automobile accident, so the person who was doing the demonstration had them hold on to the back pain and hold on to the emotional points up here, and just remember the accident while the chiropractor made the same adjustments on the back, and kind of like what we just did with Laurie, had the person get up and walk down the back of the room and walk back again, and back is held. Because it took care of that emotional aspect of it. I was in practice with chiropractor Michael Clark for many years, and we had a massage therapist that was working there, and there was a time when she was having a shoulder pain, very bad shoulder pain, and he was working on her, and you know, he wasn't making any headway with her, and he sent her over to see me to do some acupuncture, and I did acupuncture on her, and she was better for a while, and then it would come back, and I'd treat her again, and it would come back, and I said, you know, there's something deeper going on with this, and I had just been treating her symptomatically for her shoulder pain because she was at the office. I didn't have her set up as a, you know, new patient person that I would already go through the whole complex of, you know, that I usually go through. I usually spend an hour and a half with somebody and a new patient visit. And so when did you start getting the shoulder pain? And she said, okay. My boyfriend and I had an argument, and he was, you know, driving away in his car, and I ran down the stairs to run after him, and I fell and I hit my shoulder. I said, okay, let's just hold that picture. I want you to just picture your boyfriend driving away, you're running down the stairs, you had her all hooked up like I had with Laurie. We did that, that's all I did. I didn't do any acupuncture with her that time at all, and we came out of that just like Laurie did, and pain was gone, shoulder pain was gone, and it did come back. Yeah. So we do hold emotional responses in our body that can cause us to have physiological reactions, physical reactions. So I think you get the idea, and this is a lot of the stuff we talked about. You know, this is the 5-element charts and the correlation. This is the master chart. If you ever go to the bathroom, each of the bathrooms has a master chart in it, or NET master chart. And what it shows here is the different organs in the body here. So the stomach and the spleen and the large intestine, the lungs, the bladder, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the liver, small intestine, the heart, the thyroid, the adrenals, pituitary. And so all these organs over here are associated with the emotions in the same color element here. So things like the gallbladder, the emotions associated with the gallbladder and the liver are resentment and anger and being galled and stubborn and emotionally repressed and depressed and irrationality, frustration, aggression, and remember, it doesn't have to be your emotion. It can be you responding to somebody else's emotion. And so, and that's a two-way street. If you have a liver or gallbladder that isn't working properly, you're going to have a tendency to generate these types of emotions here. If you keep on having these types of emotions here, it's going to affect these particular organs over here. Now, by the correspondences that we went through with when I talked about Gan, okay, it can affect the knees, the low back, the intervertebral disc spaces, the shoulders, and so you can have problems in those different areas of the body associated with the emotions that are affecting that organ. So you get the idea. This is all, we're all a unit that's and in conventional medicine, what do? You know, you go to see the neurologist for one thing, and a gastroenterologist for another thing, and a respiratory doctor for another thing, and a internal medicine doctor for another thing, and this is the way medical school training is done. I'm at medical school right now, by the way. So I know what the program is, and it's great. These people, the stuff that they learn is incredible. The amount of information that they get is unbelievable. But medical school training breaks it. It never puts it all together. It doesn't put it all together. Probably as close as you're going to get, maybe as a family physician that kind of, you know, does all of it.
Don't you see that kind of changing, getting into the...
You know, Medicare is actually changing it. It's going to change it. They're going to make it so that you don't have so many specialists. You don't need all of these specialists. You're going to have 2 or 3. You're going to be allowed to have 2 or 3 docs that should be take care of all of your stuff. I have a woman that I'm seeing. She's taken 34 different medications. She goes, and I don't have a clue what I'm treating when I see her. I don't know what the heck I'm treating. Am I treating a side effect of the, you know, all the medications that she's taking have as a side effect loss of balance and dizziness. Well, she keeps falling down all the time.
Get her off those meds.
You know, that's...
When I took the pain pill last week after having a tooth pulled, I wanted to fall in, and that's how I messed up my arm. You know.
Now you need to go to the ortho person.
I just went to the pharmacist and said, hey, am I doing the right thing? So far, so good.
Anything else I need to talk to you about? Okay, we talked about the lemon. So you see what we're talking about here? This, when I talk about emotional reality, because all of the stuff that I'm talking about isn't just about, you know, woo out there stuff. We're really dealing on a physiological realm here. And when we talk about emotional reality, a really good example of emotional reality could be something like, you know, you had a dream last week, and ever since you had the dream, you're scared to death to walk around the corner, right? All right? It's got nothing to do with anything that's in the real physical world here. It's got to do with your perception that was instigating physiological reactions in your body, so you're scared to death to walk around the corner now. So, that's what we're talking. So, that emotional reality may be in sync with historical reality. You may have had a twin based on your family history, who knows? Who the heck knows?
I thought something else while you're on that.
Yeah.
My mother's twin was also pregnant at the same time until my cousin was born. The only time they had girls together, my aunt had girls, my mom had all boys. And my cousin was born when I would have been 3 months developed.
Huh.
I'm wondering if that might have something to do with
I got chills going up my spine.
it. She's 6 months older than me. So.
Wow. So, and this isn't far-fetched, right? You know, mom's, I mean, and it could have not been Laurie's reality. It could have been mom's reality. Dad could have at 3 months in utero when she was pregnant with Laurie, Dad had to take a trip someplace, and you know, how much more vulnerable can a woman feel than when she's, you know, pregnant, right? And Dad's got to go on a trip, and she's feeling, you know, I know he's coming back, but, you know, her emotional reality was, I feel abandoned.
He was in the Navy.
Okay, yeah, so that happens, right? I mean, you can imagine something like that happening. So stuff that happens with mom can certainly transfer to the fetus. And mom's pumping all kinds of hormones and chemicals through her body, and then the kid is born and has the same fears and you know, things going on in her body, his body, every time there's that same similar situation that mom felt abandoned when dad had to go away to the service.
I was wondering if it could have been my mom's twin anxiety too.
Yeah, I don't know. Your body, you know, you were responding to, it was your frustration. It was your it was your frustration at not being able to grow and thrive and so that's pretty much it.
Got my curiosity going.
Yeah. And I used to do this workshop a little bit more eventually, talking about anxiety and depression, and I want to talk about how to fix it. You know, I want to give you guys some tools to that are available out there for you to be able to clear away those blockages that keep you from doing and being and having what you want to do and be and have. So you being here gives you, you know, the opportunity. It's a gift. The gift is the opportunity to come down and sit and talk. And you know, if you want to bring some blood work with you, let me get a more complete picture of what's going on. And you know, if we have some kind of emotional issue, maybe I get a chance during that consultation. Maybe do what I did with Laurie.
You're gonna be scared if I come back, aren't you?
What was the seminar that this Scott was at, this Dr. Scott?
It was called a TBM workshop, total body modification. It's a seminar that